Hey guys, it's Jared. We're on live again on Facebook. I'm going to give just a few minutes. I'm going to give about 2 minutes before I start talking. And give everybody a chance to come on, join us live, share where you're from. We're going to have another conversation, hopefully. Would love to hear your thoughts. I'm getting the feed brought up myself here so I can track some questions. All right. So again, I encourage you to share with your friends. If you're on, you're watching, share the feed, and let's have a conversation about the future of Appalachia. Hey, we really just want to make this this weekly update a focus on the future and what people are doing across the region to make that happen. Today we'll be talking a little bit about what we've done over the last week and where we're going the upcoming week, and this week where you can catch us, and then just open it up for discussion. We want to hear what's happening in your communities and with your organizations. So jump on, share, post where you're from, and we'll just have a great discussion. There's Matt Brown. What are you doing, Matt Brown? Let's see here. Again, we'd encourage you to share the feed. We just want to get a good group here before we start having a conversation and talking about different projects that we're working on, that we're involved in, and we'll just give it another minute here, and we will jump in. If you don't care, again, share it with your friends, and post any questions you might have, and we'll talk about the future of Appalachia in just a moment. We have our impact report. This is the physical version of it. We have that out now. It's in print. You can find an electronic version on our website. If you wonder what happened last year, what we were involved in, again, you can find that at soar-ky.org/impact. We just posted a video earlier on our Facebook feed, on our Facebook, our wall, our page, so you can see the video and see some of the highlights of the exciting things from last year. But we're finished with 2017, and we're ready to start thinking about 2018. We talk all the time about how there were some successes last year, and we've had a success this week. But as you know, you're only as good as the most recent thing you've done, and you've got to continually be thinking about what's next and where you go from here. And we obviously believe that this year is going to be a good year, and there's a lot of great things that we can do. And as we always share, there's a lifetime worth of work to be done in Appalachia, Kentucky. We're up against a lot of challenges, but we do this show, we do this work because we believe there's a future in Appalachia, and there's a lot of people that agree with us and that are working and doing some great things in your community. So if you hear that and you say, well, I don't know what that means, what can I do in my community? Or maybe you're working on a project in your community, or maybe you're a small business owner and you've got some questions you'd like to ask about resources or how to get more involved, and I'd be happy to address those questions if you'll post them in the feed. If you've got questions about SOAR, if you've got questions about a project or anything along those lines, I'll do my best to address them. If you want to post them in the comments, I'm watching. We've had several people join. Good to see you guys. Again, share it if you don't care. We just want to get the word out and be able to connect with people and hear their thoughts, hear their stories about their communities. So again, share it. We'd be happy to take any questions you might have. I'm traveling some this week. Going to be in Hyden in Leslie County on Thursday. So if you're around there, you want to come to talk to me in person, I'll be there with the Leslie County Chamber, Hyden Leslie County Chamber. I think we're meeting at the Red Light Cafe, I believe is the name of it. So it starts at noon. Come by and see us. We'll have a great discussion. Next week I am going to be in Frankfurt on Tuesday, having some meetings with legislators, just talking about issues pertinent to Appalachia and our community. And then the end of that week I'll be traveling to Boston to speak at a conference, talking about Appalachia, sharing the story, sharing the positive story, the good things that are happening in our community. Again, SOAR, we try to do three things: drive action, and get other people involved to be a part of the team, to do aligned projects in their community, and we try to be a champion. We try to promote and inspire Appalachia, tell the positive stories that are happening here, and we also work to grow the team. We want a bigger network, a stronger network of people working together to do that. We've had several new blueprint partners that have joined in the last little bit, and if you don't know what that is, you can go to our website and find that information, soar-ky.org /partner. So you can go on. If you're an individual, an organization, and you say, well, I care about the future of my community. I've got kids that, and I have this with my neighbors, have it in our own family. We see that people's kids are making decisions, tough decisions of whether to stay in Appalachia or whether to move. Or they go to college and they wish they could come back, but they don't think they can. We're finding more and more that we're creating opportunities to start to shift that trend. And I'm an example of that somewhat. I really never left. I'm born in Appalachia, from Appalachia, and started out at Pikeville College, then went to Morehead State University, graduated from there, and I've been back here my entire career. And I found a lot of opportunity from being a small business owner all the way to doing economic development things. I did not when I was in kindergarten say I want to be the executive director of SOAR when I grow up. Did not say I want to do economic development when I grow up. But there is opportunity to be found in Appalachia, and we want to share that story. So those are the three things that we do. Again, if you have questions or you need updates on projects, we'd be happy to talk about it. We've got Matt Brown on here. I'll talk about a little project we've been involved with him, and Addiction Recovery Cares. We've been working over in Letcher County, put together what's called the Kentucky River Substance Abuse Consortium. So we're working. People talk a lot about the drug problem in Appalachia. Well, we think we've got our arms around a solution, and the solution is at the grassroots community level of lots of connect. Hey, we're back on. Looks like we, sometimes your battery dies. It just happens. That's why they make power cords. So we're plugged in now. And I'm sure we lost a bunch of you. If you catch it, come back on. We'll talk a few more minutes. But we learned our lesson on that one. Next time we'll just leave it plugged in. Again, if you got any questions, we appreciate you joining us. Appreciate you participating, and are thankful for you. let's see if we get anybody back. If we don't, we'll just do it again next week. We'll be back on, and we'll pick a specific topic next week. What topics would you like to talk about? Share that in the feed, and we'll talk about those topics that you want to talk about. Let's see if I can share it. Getting there. All right, so we're back live. Had a little battery problem, like as in problem, I mean it died, and so we're plugged back up, and we want to talk about Appalachia. We had a good group in. Hate it we lost you. So if you're still out there in social media world and want to join, we'd encourage you to jump back on, and we'll have a conversation. Love to hear some questions and just get into a conversation. That's really what we want to use these for, to talk about the work that we're doing, more importantly the work that you're doing, or that maybe things you'd like to see done. And we could just talk about that. If you've got we've got some of our partners in here. Hey, there's Scott. Good to have Scott Vance on. Scott's been a long-time partner of SOAR with Passport Health Plan. They've been a partner from the beginning. He's volunteered at a lot of events, and they always show up. I appreciate all you do, Scott. I think they're hiring a position right now, so you may want to check out Passport Health Plan. I believe they've got a job opening in Prestonsburg if they've not filled it yet. So definitely check them out. So sorry we dropped out. We're back on. We're live now. So start the conversation. Ask some questions. I'd be happy to talk about. Hey, Brenda. Got 2 positions, Scott said. So if you need a job and you're in the Prestonsburg area, Passport Health Plan's got 2 positions open. Health education, I believe. So if you know anybody with a public health degree or experience in that realm, they're looking for a couple positions. So definitely jump in there. Love to have a conversation. If anybody has any questions or comments, we'd be happy to answer those. Play us some funky music. I've got if you don't know, I'm a kind of a musician, a recovering musician, and I've got a Fender Rhodes sitting in my office. I might bring it in one day, or we might do the show back there. We might play some music. That might be fun, and we'll do that. Kyle, you got it. If I had it in here, I'd actually play some funky music, and we would have some fun. Got Jamie Conley on here. I saw he had joined. I don't know if he's still here. Went to high school with him. He was a drummer in my band in high school. So let's talk about the future of Appalachia. Do we think there is one? Obviously I do. Obviously SOAR does. And we want you to know the different things we're working on to do it. We've got a plan. And that's this blueprint. It's not beautiful. It's not a lot of pictures, but the content is pretty strong about what we think needs to be done in the region. And every community, our hope is that every community will be working on these goals and trying to do projects around these goals. And we want to help you do that. And so we're going to start. Hopefully, in our next episode, we'll have a partner on the show with us to talk about what they're doing in their community. We'll talk about how they started their business. We'll talk about maybe a story of what they did in their community, whether it was starting a farmer's market or a tourism project. Josh in our office, he went down last night to Where was that meeting, Josh?
In Stanton, the Red River Gorge.
Stanton, Red River Gorge. They're working on putting their a chamber together, kind of a regional chamber focused on the Red River Gorge area. You ever been to Red River Gorge? Anybody listening, ever been to Red River Gorge? Yes, no, yes, maybe, nobody, yes. Many of you have driven through it, I'm sure, but Bethany and I actually, my wife, we went down, I guess it was last year sometime. We said, we're not going out of town, we're going to go to Red River Gorge and spend the weekend. And we did it. We rented a cabin, her, our little girl, she's 8. We said, let's go and just pretend like we're at a destination. And we didn't have to pretend, because it was awesome. It was great food. We found all these restaurants. But once we were there we stayed 2 nights, I think, so 3 days. You start finding all these cool restaurants kind of off the beaten path, and thrift stores. We love thrift stores. And good pizza up at the Gorge. I think we did hit Miguel's. There's a little coffee shop there. Let's see, we ate at, I can't remember the name of the restaurant that's at the end of the Gorge. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but it was really good. I had a jalapeno cheddar, some kind of hot dog. It was really good. But we had a great time. So they're working to figure out, one of our goals in the blueprint is that we believe Appalachia can be a destination. Tourism, we have 7 goals, that's one of them. And that type of work is really important. You got to find a way to capitalize on it, though. I had a guy tell me one time, he's talking about Paintsville Lake. He said, you know why they never make any money at Paintsville Lake? And we're like, no, he's like, because there's nowhere to spend it. And that was an interesting take on it for me, is that if you're going to build up a tourism economy, there's got to be things in your community for people to spend their money on and do, whether it's adventure tourism things, whether it's zip lining, whether it's food, whether it's shopping, nice place to stay. You got to have those types of pieces in place. So let's talk about tourism. Really hadn't planned on that today, but so if you look in our blueprint, which is not a blueprint that I wrote, this was taken from, we listened all over the region and kind of just put all the information together. If you look at tourism, so here are some of the objectives that we think have to happen. We need to support projects that leverage existing assets to create attraction, destination-based economic activity. We want to be a destination, and we want private businesses to be a part of that. So through private businesses such as theme parks, resorts, ATV trails, things of that nature. The second objective is improve regional branding and marketing efforts to increase awareness and demand for recreational activities. So to have a regional brand is an important part of this. A destination, people know where you're going, where they're going, and rarely ever is a county a brand, although that's sometimes the way we've tried to brand ourselves. We really got to think outside of that and think, if you're an outsider or if you're not from the region, where do you want to go? What do you want to see? We obviously have some beautiful, beautiful scenery here. Local arts and crafts is an important part of that. Downtown spaces, we need to rebuild our downtowns that focus on arts and heritage and entertainment, and downtown spaces. When you're connected, we really think the future of Appalachia hinges on community, not really county, although we associate a county with a community. Most of the time, downtowns are going to be the places that have the ability to thrive and become the place, the economic hub for the county. So there's got to be a focus on community development. Build upon regional assets that create unique identities for communities. What makes your community different than the 1-2 counties over? What do you have that's different? we're here in Pikeville right now, and they, the Hatfield McCoy story happened here. It didn't happen anywhere else. So that's a great, unique identity for Pikeville. We've been down to Middlesboro and down in Bell County. There's the Cumberland Gap. You don't have that anywhere else. Harlan County, they've got the Portal 31, the deep mine. You can go back in and tour, and it is an awesome thing to have and to see and be a part of. So what are the unique things in your community that make it different, and how do you leverage those? It's almost like a business. You got to differentiate yourself. And then make sure we're training people to have hospitality, and we see that happening. So any thoughts on tourism, ideas, questions? Does anybody have any questions for me, any questions for SOAR, suggestions of topics you think we could talk about in future editions? Brenda says, sounds great. We can all learn from each other. That's definitely what this is. That's what SOAR is all about. SOAR is a network of people who want to learn from each other. And, we may disagree on some things, but we all agree that there's a future in Appalachia. And then we begin the debate of how we put that together. But we've come a long way from that. We know what needs to be done. And at this point, we're working it, which is exciting to see happening. So I'll open it up if anybody has any questions. I know I got kicked off there a little bit earlier, and I don't know if you've been watching the entire time, but we learned a little lessons about batteries. They die, and so our camera died, and so we're hooked up to power now, and we're gonna, like I said, we'll be doing these consistently. But love to just have a conversation about the work that SOAR does and the work that you're doing. Let me know what community you're from. I see some people on here that I may not know where you're from. Some I do, but we'd love to know what community you're from. Obviously, one of the big things we've talked about for a long time is broadband, and access to broadband, affordable, available, high-speed broadband. And you got to have that in your community. So if you've got any, that's Justin Prater from Pikeville. Hey son, what are you doing? Justin Prater is the drone master. He's had some awesome videos. You might as well, Justin, go ahead and do a shameless plug here and tag your videos by Justin in a comment here so people can go look at it. You've done some awesome stuff. You've got a lot of great flood footage. I was kind of watching the work that he was doing. He works for one of the Innovation Network offices, the one at UPike. They're a Blueprint partner. They are doing great work helping small businesses. If you own a small business or you're thinking about starting a business, Justin's a great place to stop. I got Chad Webb here. Chad and I were actually suite mates at UPike years and years ago. What are some of SOAR's strategies focusing on improving quality of life in order to attract young professionals to the area? So yeah, that's a great question, and a lot of our strategies, they revolve around tourism. So definitely redeveloping downtowns, focus on arts and crafts, connection to broadband. So you've got one of the things that we're trying to do as part of this is to create co-working spaces in downtown, so that you could have young professionals that are working for different companies, maybe working remotely or doing startups, but just a place for them to get together and work together. We're getting ready to build a couple of these out, and we think it's going to work, but we know that's important. So internet access, Wi-Fi connectivity, networking events, rebuilt downtowns that or you can't have vacant buildings that are run down. Main Street programs are great. If your community does not have a Main Street program, it's a great opportunity to raise some money to do things like facade fix-up, so you can repaint downtown. I tell you, a great town to and a contact to talk to about that is Pineville over in Bell County. Jacob Roan is their Main Street director. They just received an award. They've done a lot of great things. They've got privately owned restaurants downtown. A local guy came back, reinvested in the community, remodeled one of the buildings downtown. They rehabbed an old theater that was downtown. They're having weekly, monthly events there at the theater and bringing people back into the community. So those are some things that I see people taking action on that are making a difference. And Jacob's a young guy. He's in his community working, trying to make a difference. Using Pikeville as a blueprint, how can we work closely with other counties to make industrial parks more relevant across the region? So there's a lot of talk about industrial development, and Pikeville has had some success recently, but it takes a tremendous amount of investment up front and work and strategic planning and thought process. So in Pikeville, they've had the Interblue announcement, which is the battery factory. They've had the local company that's starting. It's a company that's been in existence for decades. They're branching out and doing a whole new business. That one is Silver Liner, and they're making truck bodies and tanker trucks, I believe. They've had App Harvest. So all of these companies. So let's think about industrial development and industrial park. What it has to have to be competitive. One, you got to have available property. It's got to be. It has to have. It not only has to be available, but it's got to be priced competitively. It has to have restrictions so that if an industrial company locates there, it knows that a residential or a school is not going to go in beside. You can't have mixed use. If it's going to be in a manufacturing focused site, then there's got to be covenants and restrictions. So that's why we have industrial parks. So it's got to have all that. It's got to have key infrastructure. It's got to have water, not just, and this is what happened to us sometimes, is we built water to our industrial parks, but we didn't take into account the amount of water that a client would need, and we didn't have, and this was years ago. We've done a lot of this work updating these parks in the last 4 to 5 years to be able to speak clearly about how many or how much water capacity is available per day. When these companies are looking at locating, they send a spreadsheet out traditionally that is a request for proposals, a request for information that says we got to have 200,000 gallons per day. Can you check this box if you can provide that? And if you can't answer those questions, they also ask about sewer, they ask about power, they ask about broadband, and Brady Industries is located up in Ashland. They're an aluminum mill. First thing they ask about broadband connectivity. Can we get connected to fiber? So no matter what the business is, they got to be connected there. And many companies have to have natural gas. So to have a truly competitive industrial park, to be competitive, because you're not just competing with the community, 2 counties over. These are most of the time national projects you're competing against. You're definitely competing against other people in the state. So the Bowling Greens, who have thousands of acres, and the excess utilities and infrastructure, you go to their website, they have all their information there. We were at times scrounging at the last minute trying to figure out what do we have, what can we do. But with the advent of several organizations that have stepped up and been helping out on that end, we now have some parks that are competitive and being more and more competitive. They're getting certified. They're going through the process. They're checking all the boxes. They're knowing all the answers. We got groups like One East Kentucky and SCED that are working to promote these industrial parks. They're meeting with CEOs. They're doing site visits, and then they work with the local community. Most of these decisions are made. We found out from consultants. They say desktop decisions. You can find all if you're going to buy a car this weekend. I would 99%. I'm 99% sure you wouldn't just show up at a car lot and start talking to somebody. I don't know the real number, but pretty much I would know. I would go online. You would go online if you're going to buy a house. You go online. You look at Zillow. You look at whatever the local MLS is, and you search. They do the same thing. Industrial clients do that. The site consultants do that. The data has to be available online. What we have in Eastern Kentucky and Appalachian Kentucky that's actually on our side is a workforce. The numbers I'm hearing is that Louisville has 30,000 unfilled jobs. And our best estimate in Eastern Kentucky is that we've got 30,000 people that need a job. So these companies are beginning to look in Appalachia, but we have to be ready at the community level. At the community level, you've got to be ready to have the parks site certified and ready to go, ready to show, and you've got to have data ready, available. There's Colby. Colby's a project manager with One East Kentucky, so he knows that work. He deals with clients all the time. So if you're a community and you're trying to figure out, is my park competitive? Do I have enough acreage? Then you want to contact somebody like Brett Traver at SCED, who's one of our partners, or Chuck Sexton at One East Kentucky, or Colby. He also works there as a project manager. You could reach out to the Cabinet for Economic Development. Oh my gosh, that's tough. Describe a 21st century Appalachia in one word. Okay, here's what it is for me. Here's what we do and why we do it. Hope. That's it. I think we saw a lot. There were a lot of times and days before SOAR and before the leadership of Congressman Rogers and others that put the group together, is that people felt like nothing was getting done, like we weren't making any progress, and like there was no hope, like the only option was to get out. So hope for me is a component of it. Justin puts it as change. I think we are seeing significant changes, and I would agree with him on that for sure. Change, progress, all of those line up for me. Feel free to share it. I think one of the greatest things, the greatest changes we've seen is this approach that we're all in this together, that from the community level all the way up to the governor and congressman, nobody's looking at each other saying it's all up to you. We're all putting our own skin in the game and saying we got to take some ownership of our own future, which is really what SOAR is about. Let's see. Again, I'm taking questions. If you've got any, feel free to post them on here. I'll do my best to answer them. Beattyville's trying to revitalize a former farmers market program and possibly move to the downtown area. If you know an area that is excelling in that, would love to know who and where. Several successful farmers markets in the region. Pikeville's got a pretty good one that's growing. Whitesburg has an awesome farmers market program. They're doing a lot of innovative stuff. So you could reach out to the folks in Whitesburg, and we'll try to get a contact for you there and send it. That was Brenda Begley, I believe, that had made that comment. So there's lots of different funding. There's lots of different strategies, and farmers markets are either great or they flop. So it'd be great to talk to somebody who's been successful in them to make sure to figure out what those key components are. And there's a lot of different pieces of the puzzle when you're putting a farmer's market together. Regional foods, that's one of our goals, is to grow that food system. We focus on the economic side of it. I can, I've got a garden at home, and any kind of plant that you can put in the ground and come back in a few months and there's food on it, I can garden that with the best, like a green thumb. So I can grow tomatoes. I don't really know how to garden that well. But, so what I'm trying to say is we don't focus on teaching people how to garden. We think if people have a market, if they can make money growing tomatoes, corn, vegetables, then there will be, people will grow it. They'll find out, they'll figure out. I mean, my grandfather had a farm growing up. It's what we did here. We grew our own food. So we focused on how do we get people access, and that's a farmer's market is a great way for them to be able to go and sell their items. Another part of regional foods is how do we do value added? How do we turn tomatoes into chili or salsa, barbecue sauce? How do we make soups? How do we can it? So you have things like community kitchens that are USDA certified, so people can get in and do a test run and get it marketed. And then, I'd love to see a salsa company pop up, and we're shipping it all over the country. So that's some of the components of food and farmers markets. Farm to school programs are great. Valerie Horn, that's a great one. Community Farm Alliance. She's led the Wattsburg Farmers Market work. They've done some great stuff. So check, that's good. So you don't have to do it. We got people helping each other. That's what this is about. Scott Vance, Passport's tagline, we're in this together. Regionalism, we obviously believe in regionalism. So, and this is something I've been talking about for a lot of years and focus on is how do we work together regionally. And I've kind of come to this conclusion. I think we have to have a regional plan and a regional strategy. We have to be in communication, and we have to understand what we're all working on and support each other in what we're working on. But at the end of the day, your local community and how much leadership and capacity you have there is going to be what makes the difference. A regional organization, the state, the federal government, nobody can come in and fix and save your community. So we've got to have local people participating at the local level that have a vision, that know what's happening around them, that are part of this overall plan and are working it together. And we want to support those people. We want to connect you to more resources and make sure this blueprint is a great way to say, well, what should I be working on? We're actually working on putting together a checklist you can use from this blueprint, so that you can say, well, what am I doing in my community, and what do we need to do next? So those are some great comments. Amber Gotzi, erase county lines. Great. Yep, that's it. Regionalism. We got to think more about our region and not focus on counties as much, but focus on community. Focus on community. Where do we get a copy of the blueprint? I'm going to see if I can share a link here. There it is. I just put the link on there. I put a link on the Facebook feed, and you can click on it. We've got kind of a web version of it that you can go through and see. Or you can download the PDF and look at that. It's pretty holistic. It doesn't say that tourism's the only thing we need to do in Appalachia. It doesn't say we got to recruit more companies. It doesn't say we only need broadband. It doesn't say we need to just help small businesses. It says we need to do all this as a region. All of this has to happen at the same time, which means there's going to be certain organizations and certain people who are passionate about one component of it, and we need you to be working on that component of it. And you need to know that you're part of a team that's working on a much bigger effort. Hey, no problem. Thanks, Justin. Good things happening. Thanks for being on and being part of the conversation. We will keep it up. So there's the blueprint. Feel free to, it's a fun read. We encourage you to check it out and think about, what does this mean? What does this mean? And we got examples of other projects and solutions, as we call it, that line up with it that you can read about on there, and links to them. And we're going to be doing some more of that. I think I've answered about all the questions. Have you got any numbers, or just from what you've seen, can you tell if the new right to work laws and the exit of prevailing wages hurt or help the area, or not far enough along to be able to see that yet? No, I don't think we're far enough into it yet to see any impact on that end. Obviously, that can get really divisive, and you got two sides that really think both sides are 100% right. But I don't think we've been able to see directly any specific impact or to be able to talk to it. We've obviously heard some of the companies that have located here that have said right to work has been part of their decision-making process of why they chose to locate here. We just so not enough information, I don't think, yet to speak specifically to that. I think I'm about to wrap this thing up. Unless anybody's got some one last question. If anybody has something, I'd be happy to address it. We're going to try to get these on a specific schedule so that we can kind of jump on consistently, and then we'll catalog them, and maybe we'll try to stick to a topic each time. We can just continue to keep sharing the information with each other and start continue making some progress. So one last call for a question if you've got one. If not, we'll plan on being back on next week. If you want to keep updated, we're going to try to get emails out when we're going to be doing it. Make sure you sign up on the partnership program. I'll share the link to that as well. I just put that in the stream. So some good conversation, good discussion today. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you. Hey, the Letcher overlooks. I did that. You're making fun, I think. You're reminding me, or you watched my video from the overlooks. They are definitely impressive. You got to go see those on Pine Mountain. They're getting a shout out every time. So, anything else? Any other questions? We're going to wrap it up. All right, remember, there's a future in Appalachia. Thanks, guys.